do you think there's any possibility that all of it, military, ICE, local police, National Guard, could be all combined into one force that goes here, there, that that could go one day to Caracas, the next day to Des Moines, the next day to Gaza. I mean,
Yeah.
that's awful scary. But
Right, right. And we're supposed to have a legal chip. We're supposed to have legal checks and balances, right? That a federalized
Mhm.
system, a constitution,
Mhm.
things such as the Insurrection Act and the Posse Comitatus, right? That preclude or prevent what you're describing, Jim. And that's all being tested right now. And
yeah,
the attempts to break it, and some successes have been successful. Some in some places they've been successful. Other they've been delayed. But you've
Mhm.
seen that play out with the integration of the civilian law enforcement with the military. And the other thing I would add into that is the integration then of the technology companies, right?
Mhm.
So that the surveillance aspect, so it really is this joint force of law enforcement, the military,
Mhm.
and private technology companies that provide the fist, if you will, for this government. And that, of course, can be utilized wherever you want it to be utilized. But I think they're most concerned domestically. I don't think this government that we have in power here in the U.S. is interested in a large war overseas. Even with what's happening in Venezuela and now Colombia, there is a danger of regime change. Regime change in Venezuela has been long wanted by Washington, D.C., both parties for 25 years or more now.
Mhm.
Obvious reasons for that, particularly the largest oil reserves in the world. But I think more importantly for Trump and those around him, like Hegseth, not Rubio, because this is something Rubio's been obsessed with, the Caribbean, Latin America, et cetera, for his whole life. But you look at Stephen Miller and others, the idea of just being tough, the idea of just carrying out the violence against the alleged drug traffickers is the message in and of itself. It's the meaning in and of itself, right? So the violence for the
Mhm.
violence sake, because these are tough guys. These are revolutionaries. These are
Mhm.
men and women who are willing to shed blood to make America great again. And again, a whole thing with Dostoevsky saying blood and power are intoxicating. You get that feeling when you see some of these people speak
Mhm.
that they really are. This is what they have. That they are sadists. So if you have a government
Mhm.
composed of sadists, as well as a government composed of sycophants and con men and criminals and just men and women who've done well in our society because they knew how to climb through our crooked and corrupt political and media and economic ecosystem, right? This is what you have. So I think when you get back to Venezuela and
Mhm.
Colombia, it's not so much the regime change that they're after, although again, there are plenty who would be happy with that. It's more this idea of the theater of it, right? It's more this idea of showing how tough they are, of
Mhm.
carrying out these efforts of blood and power because it makes them feel good. It's also what their people want. And one thing, just to put a point on it, I looked up today what Trump's approval rating is, and
Mhm.
it's about 46% according to the
Mhm.
Real Clear Politics
Mhm.
average,
Mhm.
and that is higher than any of his predecessors. Trump's approval rating
Mhm.
today is higher than Biden's was in October of his first term, and higher than
Uh-huh.
Obama and Bush's were in
Mhm.
October, the
Mhm.
first October of their second terms. Right? I
Mhm.
mean, so that's something we really have to contend with and understand here is that we might be appalled by this. Yeah, I saw another poll today. It said
Mhm.
56% of Americans say Trump is an aspiring dictator or something like that. But well, okay, what about the other 45%?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, they don't, I don't think a lot of them, uh, they may know in their own minds that Trump is basically wants to be a dictator, but they're just as long as we're getting those immigrants out, then that's going to take care of everything.
Right. That's all part of making America great. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mhm.
right.
Yeah. And I've seen that in comments. I've seen that in places, whether it be people who actually work for the Republican Party or who are some type of MAGA spokesperson, or just people online, on Twitter or Instagram. The defense of zip tying children and separating from their families
Uh-huh.
and beating and arresting American citizens. The defense of that is, essentially, well, you got to break a couple eggs to make an omelet. That
Yeah,
the ends
yeah.
justify the means here. That this is unfortunately how we make America great. We're up against this enemy who has insidiously inserted themselves among us. And so to pull them out is going to be difficult and it's going to look ugly, but the ends justify the means here. This is how they justify it all, and the fact then too, that you add the racial dimensions into it, you add the aspects that they are the way that our brown brothers and sisters are described in subhuman terms, right? I mean, that's the way they're described. And that's the effect that it has, is that it's okay to do this because in this act of purification, which essentially is what they're doing, we are making America great again.